Hi friends, so today I want to do a video about the difference between breath meditation and breath work. And I've mentioned it before, but throughout our life, at any point, there is an opportunity to attend to the breath. When you're stressed or anxious, if you're caught in rumination, mental process you don't control, it's usually because you're thinking about something. Well, I guess it's really always because you're thinking about something that you expect will happen in the future or that you remember happening in the past. What breath meditation or breath work, breath meditation, what working with the breath in either context does is it brings you into the present moment. Because you can't breathe in the past and you can't breathe in the future. There are other things like inner body awareness, like paying attention to how your body feels in space, or what the feeling of your body is in the moment. That will bring you in the present moment. But the breath is really, really effective for doing this. And I just want to quickly, like when I was talking about driving recently, one of the powerful ways of driving in a good state of mind is to focus on your breathing while you're driving. We all have this sort of folk knowledge of, like, if you're in an argument and you're getting angry, you can calm down by taking 10 deep breaths. So this is not anything esoteric. But I think that there's a good distinction to be made between, a really helpful distinction to be made between breath work and breath meditation, or meditating on the breath. So, in short, what I consider breath work is consciously controlling the way in which you breathe. There are lots of different techniques from different cultures, like if you're familiar with a yogic context, breath work in that culture is called pranayama. And even in English cultures and Western cultures, people use the term breath work. Or if you're an athlete, then you most likely know that there are specific ways of breathing for sport. For instance, if you're a martial artist, you exhale usually in the moment of muscle contraction. You hear people yelling "Hi-ya," not literally, but that's the folk way of thinking about that element of breath work. But so breath work means, or what I mean by breath work, is to consciously control your breath, to work with the breath. In cycling, for instance, it's best to breathe through your mouth, or when you're running, to consciously breathe through your mouth to get as much oxygen going as possible. In the pranayama context of breath work, which sometimes is considered breath meditation, but as with my meditation video, meditation can mean so many different things. So I'm making a distinction here for my own way of talking about these things. But in pranayama, for instance, you might breathe through your nose during certain moments, during certain phases of the practice, and then breathe through your mouth, like inhaling through your nose and then exhaling through your mouth. That's one type of breath work, of course. So anyway, to contrast, what breath meditation is really letting the body breathe and getting out of the way of what the body does naturally. Because the breath we control the breath by accident a lot of times. When we're anxious, for instance, we breathe much more shortly. And, when we're angry, we breathe intensely, but short, intense breaths. When we're calm and relaxed, we usually let our body take over. And during breath meditation, what you're doing really is getting out of the way and allowing your body to breathe itself. And instead, you're watching the process. And by becoming the observer of the breath as it happens naturally, instead of trying to control it in any way, you actually go into a deeper and deeper state of relaxation. So I just want to show you a couple of things about breath work and breath meditation real quickly in a visual context. So I'm going to flip around here. All right. Okay, cool. So I'll have to talk more about breath meditation later, because it's kind of cryptic to say watching the body breathe itself. But that's really the best way that I can describe it. But what I wanted to do here in breath work is also to mention something that you might find really interesting. And so here I'm just drawing a person's torso. Man, that arm is rough. Anyway, okay, there we go. So this is someone's head, obviously. Okay. One of the things about breath work is that we don't really do this naturally, but I like to think of there as three main chambers for breathing. And then this is, again, not breath meditation necessarily. This is more about breath work, working with the breath, consciously controlling it. But when you breathe in, the air enters your nostrils or your mouth, and you can guide it very, very low in your body to this area right here, the diaphragm. And that's called diaphragmatic breathing. And in many practices, you will breathe into this area of your abdomen. Almost like if the belt is right here, it's almost right below the belt line is kind of what you're aiming for. It's to fill up the balloon here, and you let your belly come out naturally. Like let your belly almost come out distended naturally, really, really relax the belly. This is an area where you can fill up with air. We don't always do. It's very, very relaxing to move the air there, to breathe into the lower part of the body. And then again, if you've been involved with yoga, I kind of think of the next chamber that you can fill up as being in the abdomen here, like a center part. Kind of feels like here it feels like the air feels like it's sinking downwards below the belt line, really, really low. Here, it's like an expansion outwards. It feels as if your rib cage, your two sides of your ribs are coming apart from each other. And again, if you've been involved with yoga, a lot of times you're taught how to breathe here and then fill this part of your body next. And then the third chamber, right here, is the chest. And when you fill the chest, it feels like the air is coming up like this into the collarbone area slightly, kind of lifting the shoulders and the collarbone slightly. And also, if this was the head and the torso was like this and we're viewing from the side, you also have the sensation of the air pushing the chest out or pushing the shoulder blades out as well. So this being the first chamber in the diaphragm, this being the ribs, kind of moving out laterally towards the camera, away from the camera. And then this area as well, as I was describing. So these are the three main chambers. And like I mentioned, it's really common and great practice is to take, breathe a complete breath out and then fill this chamber first, as much as you can comfortably, and then fill this chamber, and then fill this chamber. It's a great way to bring in a lot of air into the body. It's not necessary, but some people really enjoy this practice. And again, I'm talking about breath work as opposed to breath meditation, although a lot of people will consider pranayamic and breath work practices to be their form of meditation. That's fine. In certain forms of martial arts, you also learn how to move the breath into specific body parts, like the arm or the hands. And I'm not here to say that the breath is actually moving into those parts of the body, but it can have an effect on your body mechanics. Like breathing into your hands and pushing in a martial arts motion. Very common in some martial arts. Anyway, there's also some less explored areas where you can move breath. One of them is right here. It's kind of in your lumbar region, or your lower back, around where your kidneys are. You can try to explore that by breathing air in and focusing it just in that area and trying to inflate just that area underneath your ribs, behind the lower part of your back, and the sides, kind of where your kidneys are. Very interesting. And when you're working in a breathwork context, breathing in these different areas specifically really brings the consciousness to a different place. For instance, I was talking about when we're anxious and whatnot. If you drive your breath just into this last region, the last chamber, the third one here, in a rapid way, like chest breathing, you can very quickly feel yourself getting super anxious. Or if you breathe exclusively into the first chamber, only diaphragm, and then out from the diaphragm, that can give you a really, really deep sense of almost disassociative relaxation. All these things are really worth exploring, in my opinion. And one of the ways that have been taught to breathe is called vase breathing, and it sort of combines a lot of these concepts. So imagine if you had a glass like this. I'm not the greatest artist. Imagine you have a glass like this, and you're filling it full of water. Well, if you fill water, it's going to hit the bottom of the glass, and then it's going to rise up and fill the glass like this, right? And that's how the glass will be full. And then if you were to stop filling the glass and then tip the glass out, the first water would be coming from the top, and then the water from the middle would leave, and then finally the water from the bottom. So this vase breathing, or one form of vase breathing that I've been taught, really, really helpful, is you breathe as if you are filling your body with air, as with this glass with water, and then emptying your body of air as this glass of water as well. So you would take a deep breath and start filling the lower chamber here, and then fill the middle chamber, and then fill the top chamber. And then when you're completely full of breath, you take a little pause at the top, and then you breathe out from your chest, and then breathe out from the center of your body, and finally empty your abdomen. When you're practicing that, it helps to intentionally sort of puff out the belly, let the ribs really puff out, and let the shoulders come up a little bit. So you can keep track of what you're doing, and then drop your shoulders, bring the ribs back together, and then let the stomach come back in. Anyway, that's some interesting things that I've learned about breath work. And if you're ever anxious or frustrated, just working and playing with these things will definitely take you into a different state of mind, at least distract you from what you are anxious or depressed about. In the future, I'm going to talk more about breath meditation, because for me, that's one of the most powerful ways of meditating. And next time I see you guys, I will do a video on water and water quality, some of the things that I do and why I think they're important. But for now, I hope you all are having a great day, and have a good one. Bye.